warm welcome again to MedTech World in this opportunity and with Peter, CEO of Talking HealthTech. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's great not holding a microphone for once, and I'm on this side of it, so it's great to have a chat.
Indeed. So for those who doesn't know what is Talking HealthTech, please let us know.
Sure. So as host of Talking HealthTech, we do a podcast that's released 2 or 3 episodes a week. Episode 500 comes out soon, and increasingly, if you can't tell, I'm quite Australian, so I'm based in Australia, in Sydney, and so a lot of the content we do is based around the healthcare ecosystem in that region. Increasingly, there's been a lot more content on the platform through a global lens, which has been interesting to Australians and anyone around the world, because if you're an Australian healthcare system or an innovator or anything, you've got to build with global in mind, because there's only a certain size of our ecosystem, and there's a lot of transferable problems to be solved as well. So yeah, it's the podcast is taking me out to all different parts of the world, including Dubai and lots of other locations too. So I feel really privileged to be able to get out and speak to different innovators, problem solvers, and cool people that are solving some tricky problems in healthcare.
How the idea of the podcast came to reality?
Well, I've always worked in healthcare and technology roles in like my real job back in my old job, but I also used to host community radio like on the side just as a bit of fun, but it was quite different. It was like this underground metal radio show, so anyway, let's not go into that one, but so that was unrelated. But then so I always had experience in doing interviews and content and all of that, but then in around 2017, 2018, as I'm getting more and more into digital health, I'm like, well, I'd love to learn more about the space and kind of just immerse myself in some content, and podcasts are a great way to do that. Couldn't really find anything in our region in Australia that was kind of geared towards it. I'm like, I could spin something up and see how it goes, but I always pictured it just being this thing that I did on the side while I had a real job. But from about 2021 onwards, it's been my real job, and we've got a production team of 7 or 8 people now, and a few other staff locally as well. So we're producing a lot of content for our own podcast, as well as 12 other shows within our podcast network, and we do a bunch of other stuff too. So it's all about, I think the consistent theme though is helping healthcare innovators, providers, and anyone in the ecosystem tell a story and put some clarity around the problems they're solving, because there's so much cool stuff that happens in healthcare that sometimes doesn't reach the surface. So if we can play a part in that, then I think our job is done.
Indeed, we've seen you in MedTech World events in the past, and also in Europe, very present in Europe. How do you see the ecosystem in there, and how do you compare it with the GCC? Today we are in Dubai.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. When I think about this region here in Dubai and the GCC, there's such a positive attitude of like getting stuff done, and interest and appetite for innovation, and there's one way to find out if it's going to work. Let's just do it and find out. And if there's like roadblocks along the way, there's a clearer path to working with regulators or understanding how something can be implemented. Whereas in other parts of the world, be it in Europe and even in Australia too, sometimes it feels like it's a lot more of a struggle or an uphill battle. If you've got a great problem to solve or a solution, it's just much more, it's much more risk averse, much more kind of not red tape, but roadblocks to problems. And as an innovator, you can be frustrated and thinking, we're still sending faxes in Australia, or they're still posting out information, like really basic things. But then you get to the root of the problem, and it's not as easy as just switching out the tech. I don't think the problem's anywhere, be it Europe, Australia, in Asia. It's not a technology problem. We've got the technology everywhere to solve it. I think what some innovators miss is that beyond the technology, there's all the cultural differences, the embedded kind of preferences, and working with all the different stakeholders, change management, all those things I think globally are consistent, that sometimes mean that great innovations take a long time to happen in healthcare.
Yeah, indeed. The idea is to help innovators, startups as well, to be out there, to be seen. So I want to talk about the importance of communications and marketing for startups. So what's your intake on it?
Yeah, sure. Look, it's organically we've in Talking HealthTech got more involved in telling stories with brands, be it on our podcast, but then more and more like helping them communicate what they're trying to do to the right audiences. And like I kind of touched on before, typically if someone's, say, coming from the research background or coming with a strong clinical perspective, and particularly in Australia, culturally, we're not, and I know it's relevant in other parts of the world too, we're not big on grandstanding or like big noting ourselves. Sometimes we like to, just kind of work unassumingly. But unfortunately, if you're a little bit too behind the scenes or don't focus on how something's communicated, then no one's going to know the thing exists, obviously. So I think there's a way to communicate effectively and do that positively and like with clear calls to action and the problems to solve without sounding like a jerk or without feeling uncomfortable or and doing it in a diplomatic way or in the right way in healthcare, because in the end it depends who you ask around that the balance between commercialization and patient outcomes, and is it a scale or is there a way to have them all harmoniously work together? Can you have a profitable business in healthcare and still improve patient outcomes? I think you can, but you need to be in it for the right reasons. But there's my last thing too is that if you were looking to make lots of money in technology, healthcare is probably not and to do it in a really fast way, healthcare is probably not the first place to start. It's what I love about, the healthcare technology space is people are in it, the ones that stay in are in it for the right reasons, a lot more than just the commercial turnaround. We can really have a strong impact.
We are in Dubai, so we need to talk about AI.
Yes.
AI is actually benefiting the communication side and marketing side of a startup. Is it actually a tool to help them, or it can be a threat for the industry, marketing and communication industry in healthcare?
Oh, look, I think there's so many cool marketing and communications and content creation tools that are coming through that are powered by artificial intelligence. But I swear, if I hear one more person say they're going to revolutionize the future of healthcare with artificial intelligence, I'm going to fall on the ground. But it's I think there's, what I find useful is that if it helps, say, a startup founder or a marketing manager or even a C-suite kind of take some unstructured thoughts or a vision, or like they've got some great ideas, but it needs to then be again communicated to others. There's some cool tools to be able to just help structure that information and then help you plug the gaps. I don't think the future of communication is going to be all just automatically generated out of a bot or a large language model, but there's, like, in the same way it's in healthcare and any other industry, there's going to be this blend between letting computers do the things that computers are really good at, like dealing with a lot of information and then making sense of it, but then let the humans do the communicating side and the connection piece, and I think we can do both.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Peter, for being with us, and hopefully we can see you in our next show.
I would love to be there. You name the place and I'll be there for sure.
Thank you very much.